Does humanity still need religion? This question is becoming more and more important as atheism catches on and spreads through society. More and more people in the developed world are turning away from the traditional religions that they were raised with. As more and more information becomes available to us, it becomes increasingly obvious that the old religions are mere fairy tales, made-up stories that were passed down for so long that people started to believe the fantastic and miraculous parts of those tales. But buried inside of those tales was something deeper. Not a god, but a set of traditional behaviors and beliefs that guided people. Things that produced social cohesion, that encouraged behaviors that were good for people in society and discouraged harmful behaviors. And as the world becomes more atheist, these lessons are often being tossed aside along with the mythological tales that taught them. Our understanding of how to live and the meaning of life and death is being lost in this transition to atheism. In a religious society, people live for the well-being of other members of their religion and society because they were taught to. Death, that inevitable part of life that we all must face someday, was not seen as the end. A good death would lead to a good afterlife, or at least a good reincarnation. In more real terms, a good death was one that helped your people and your way of life to survive, and the mythological tales about afterlives and resurrection and reincarnation were just a way to encourage people to live and die in the right way. But in an atheist society, death is the end. That's it. And that discourages people from accepting the reality of death as a necessary and important part of life. This leads to the sort of hedonism where life must be lived to its fullest today because the end could come tomorrow. And this hedonism is leading to the breakdown of the traditional behaviors that have worked for the survival of humanity all throughout history. As the atheistic scientists come closer and closer to conquering death for individuals, the human population continues to grow, and the cost of keeping us all alive continues to grow along with it. Each additional human life that we save takes a toll on our ecosystem, and if we're not careful, this rejection of death is going to collapse our ecosystem and kill us all. But this isn't the only threat to the continued survival of our way of life. As the most atheistic and hedonistic populations on Earth continue to live longer and longer, they place a bigger and bigger burden on younger generations, who they expect to work harder and harder to continue taking care of them long after they've stopped working. As this burden increases, young people in the developed world are having fewer and fewer children, not even able to afford to produce enough children to maintain their population and keep their society going. And the most atheist parts of the population are reproducing the most slowly, leading to a future where the skeptical and rational traits that led people to atheism in the first place are going to be replaced either by the gullibility of the religious, who reproduce far faster than atheists, or by nothing at all when our ecosystem collapses and takes us all with it. If the positive traits that led to the rise of atheism in the first place are going to survive, atheism needs to find religion, and fast. But atheism can't be replaced by the religions of old. The same people who've already abandoned those myths to embrace atheism aren't going to be convinced by the same myths that they've already abandoned. If atheism is to be replaced by something better, by a religion that brings people together for the betterment of humanity's future, not just for the hedonism of today, or for the traditions that worked well enough in the past but which are failing to compete today, then atheism must be replaced by something real. Thankfully, there is one such thing in this universe that can replace both atheism and the myths of old. There is a force in this universe that guided our creation. Not a god or gods, but a force of nature that governed the lives of our ancestors and that still governs our lives today. That force is evolution, and its laws are the laws of our land, whether you believe in it or not. Through evolution, death is no longer the end. Our genes and our memes can live on in the lives of people who share our traits and beliefs. Rather than simply live for today, we can live for a future where life will be better for people like us. Rather than rejecting death, destroying our future, and killing life on Earth as we know it in our attempt to conquer death, we can accept death when it's necessary to further the survival of our people. Rather than living a life free of any rules or traditions, we can embrace the laws of evolution that already govern our existence and judge our traditions based on how they affect our evolutionary ability to survive. The laws of nature give us the rules that we need to live by. Competition is important to ensure the survival of the best traits and ideas, the traits and ideas that do the most to further our survival. And cooperation is important to ensure the survival of those who help us survive. Reciprocity is important to ensure that people who do good things have good things done to them, and that people who harm others have an equivalent amount of harm returned to them. many of the best ideas of the religions of old, such as the idea that you should do unto others as you would have others do unto you, whether you know this as the golden rule or as karma or as something else. These ideas have worked for ages because they come as close as possible as these religions could to understanding evolutionary law. We must embrace evolution as the spiritual guide of our people if our people are going to have a future. And the question that I'm sure is on many of your minds now is, well, who are our people? And there are many right answers to that question. Some of you may consider your people to be those who share your genes, such as your family, your community, and your racial or ethnic group. Others may consider your people to be those who share your best traits, such as intelligence or creativity, traits that you want to encourage the survival of. Others may see your people as people who share your ideas about the way that life ought to be lived, whether that means the fellow followers of this new evolutionist religion, or whether it means people who share your culture or your ideology. For others, it may mean those who benefit your survival, whether they share your genes, your traits, your memes, or none of these things. Our lives are dependent on the survival of a diverse variety of different people and organisms of other species, and it may sometimes be in our best interest to encourage the survival of those who are very different from us, even those who are of a different species. Genetic diversity and natural selection are both important to our survival, and understanding how these twin evolutionary forces interact, how they cooperate, and how they compete with one another is the key to understanding how evolution guides our lives. Who your people are may be each of these things at different times and in different ways, depending on the complex interactions between natural selection and genetic diversity. Contemplate, meditate, and pray on these ideas, and spread the word that God is dead, but our Creator lives on, and a whole new religion has been born to give our people new life. Ah, people. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for a new sermon most Sundays. If you'd like to help support my channel, you can donate to me at patreon.com/storytimewithjesus or by PayPal at storytimewithjesus@gmail.com. You can also visit my shirt store at shop.spreadshirt.com/atheistjesus, where I've got shirts like Atheist Jesus has low self-esteem because he doesn't believe in himself, and I really thank you all for believing in me for me, and the Evolutionism shirt. Have a blessed day, and thanks for watching.